take us live. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will begin in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes to the start of the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will begin in 4 minutes, so just 4 minutes to the start of the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will start in just 3 minutes' time. So 3 minutes to the start of the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will start in 2 minutes. So just 2 minutes to the start of the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar will start in just 1 minute's time. So please bear with us. The webinar will commence in just 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar. And we have a fabulous topic for you this afternoon. It's how do you benefit from automation while still maintaining the human touch? And I shall be introducing our panelists very shortly. So Gentry, if you could move on to the next slide. So just a reminder that Channel Focus, the face-to-face conference, takes place on the 8th and 9th of November this year at the Sheraton Universal. We have a fabulous summer offer that expires on the 30th of this month, so just $14.95 if you sign up before then. So if you click on that QR code or go to channelfocuscommunity.net, you'll be able to register at a very advantageous price. One of the things we want to do, so Gentry, if you could move on to the next slide. We want everyone to participate. We've had great participation on these webinars previously, so feel free to engage in the chat, ask us questions, comment on what's being said. Indeed, tell us we've got it wrong, and basically get involved in what I'm sure is going to be a very, very informative session. So it's now down to me to introduce our three panelists. And I'm going to start with Richard Flynn. And Richard is the partner and CMO of Spur Reply. He's a founder of the Spur Group, an industry veteran with nearly 30 years of experience, and has helped many companies in the tech industry shape and execute their channel strategies and go-to-market approaches. Currently, the Spur Group has nearly 250 go-to-market employees, sharing their expertise across a range of sales, marketing, channels, operations, and data projects. Richard's a firm believer that we face a new renaissance of channel innovation as companies redefine their go-to-market approach, as cloud solutions and remote workers become the norm. We see many new approaches as vendors satisfy a widening range of customer needs and embrace different types of partners and build new novel ways of selling. In his off time, Richard focuses on family, painting, and architecture. So Richard, give us a brief overview of Spur.
Yeah, so we are fortunate enough to be a consulting firm that focuses on go-to-market. And we have a wide range of clients, from some very large technology firms that everybody has heard of to smaller firms that may be getting their startup and really trying to figure out what their go-to-market approach is. And we help with formulating strategies. We help with implementing technology, including automation technology, staffing, really helping extend you and your team to be able to do more than you're currently being able to do at usually a slightly lower cost than you might be doing it today.
Excellent. And our second panelist is Ken Fox, and Ken is the CEO of Channel Mechanics. He's an accomplished leader with over 20 years experience in the channel. He's got a master's degree in software with an MBA. He's transformed Channel Mechanics from a startup to an award-winning SaaS provider that is truly disrupting channel program execution. Ken is passionate about enabling customers to get the most from their partners, and in his spare time, with 4 kids, he's really a non-stop taxi service. So Ken, give us a couple of minutes on Channel Mechanics.
Thanks very much, Rod. Yeah, and great topic today, by the way. Looking forward to discussing it. Yeah, so Channel Mechanics, we're a born in the cloud software company. We have what we call a channel enablement platform that our customers use to automate the execution of their partner programs, covering both tier 1 and tier 2. And that's everything from standing up their partner portal, their content management, their deal registration, right through to other incentive type programs like MDF, rebates, partner leveling, etc. Very open platform in terms of integration. So we'll discuss it, I'm sure, more as the session goes on today. But in terms of enabling that human touch while scaling up using automation to do that. So that's our gig.
Fabulous, thank you very much. And our third panelist is Harbinder Kira, and Harbinder is the CEO and founder of Mind Matrix. He has over 20 years experience in sales, marketing, and channel enablement software and solutions. He's provided IT consulting services to Southwest Airlines, Nationwide Insurance, IBM, Siemens, Citibank, and Sprint. He was one of 3 CEOs to win the CRM Influential Leader Awards last year, announced by CRM Magazine. And that was for his contribution towards innovative sales and marketing technology. He has an MS in information networking from Carnegie Mellon and an MS in computer engineering from Florida Atlantic. He's a member of the Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society and a member of the Dean's Leadership Council of CMU. So Harbinder, tell us a little bit about Mind Matrix.
Thank you, Rod. So we believe the sales ecosystems are changing. So it's no longer a one-to-many relationship between the vendor and the partners. It is or many-to-one relationship. Now the vendors, partners, alliances, internal teams, the CAMs, and the influencers are all coming together in more collaborative setting. It is more many-to-many relationship to facilitate co-selling, co-marketing, co-building, co-servicing. Mind Matrix, leader in this space, 25 years in business. We provide the next generation sales ecosystem platform to support collaboration, multi-vendor solution selling and marketing, and focus in partner marketing. So we welcome you all to collaborate with us to learn how we can solve your current and future channel requirements. I'm really excited to announce our strategic partnership with Spur Reply Group to help facilitate our clients with strategy, content creation, and ongoing management of our sales ecosystem. Thank you.
Harbinder, thank you very much. And Richard, I'm going to start with you. We're talking today about how do you benefit from automation while still maintaining the human touch.
Yep.
Right at the beginning, what are the considerations you need to be looking at? What are the decision points? Not what do you need to do, but what are the things you need to be thinking about when you're considering this topic?
Well, I think that, unfortunately, particularly in today's economy, we're all being asked to do more with less. We've unfortunately seen, rounds of layoffs at many companies. Money is tight for investment in many places, but at the same time, everybody's still being asked to grow their business by 15, 20% or more, depending on their circumstance. So I think that the thing that you really want to figure out is where are your people spending their time and energy? And then how important are those things in terms of the business impact and the outcomes that you're looking for? And the key areas of automation are really where people are spending a lot of time doing busy work. So, things maybe like, deal registration approvals or, collecting and maintaining, a particular process or, doing hand-holding in a way that doesn't necessarily drive, revenues or deepen a relationship. And those are all the areas that probably you should look at and say, is there a solution out there that will help us be more effective and more efficient in those areas? And if so, we're in a little bit of a golden age in that there's probably a technology out there that'll help, improve your performance in that area.
Okay, you have some of that technology. What are your customers actually asking for? When they come to you and say, hang on, Ken, I need to automate, but I'm really worried about the effect that's going to have on my relationship with my partners. How do you answer that? What do you suggest that they should be doing?
Yeah, Richard makes some great points, and kind of to follow up to that question, Rod, I think where we use automation best is enabling the human touch. So often when we hear the word automation or AI, people kind of get a bit worried and say, oh, that's going to replace us humans. People buy from people. They don't buy from AI or machines, basically. It's, helping the relationship building. So what we do, Rod, in our world is, we work with many vendors globally running their programs. And the automation we put in place works kind of from two angles. One is from a partner or distributor enablement perspective. So when that partner, reseller, distributor, referral partner, whatever it might be, lands on the vendor's portal, it's making it very easy for them to understand, you know, where's my content? How do I easily register a deal? What does my sales pipeline look like? How am I doing against the targets that this vendor has set for me, etc.? So that level of automation makes your partner's life easy, makes you easy to do business with. So, you know, very simple thing. Who's your account manager? How do you get in touch with them? And then on the back end or on the internal view of the world, the vendor side of the world, automation has really transformed or enabled account managers to be much more productive. And Richard said it well, doing the busy jobs or automate the busy jobs. So instead of having to look across 5 different systems for how is their revenue, how is their training, what does their pipeline look like, etc., you now serve that up to the account manager across all of their accounts. And depending on the account manager, we see vendors, you know, everybody has different models. Some account manager might have only 5 accounts, another one might have hundreds of accounts, as crazy as that might sound, but it's enabling those account managers to serve their partner community in a much more efficient way. Like an example would be, you know, we know you've registered these 10 deals in this quarter. If you close these 2 at this value, you qualify for an extra incentive. So there is a point in time that it enables the account manager to actually reach out, have that human touch, but now it's a meaningful human touch that ultimately drives revenue and sales for the company, which is what, you know, ultimately it's all about.
And Harbinder, do you want to come in on that one? And one of the key challenges, I think, for a lot of people is there is a lot of information in the company, but it's in lots of different places. How do you pull that together so if you have got a channel account manager, they really are able to see the whole picture of the partner they're actually talking to?
Now, there's a lot of different topic areas, and I want to cover this, the challenge of data. So when you think about sales ecosystem play, you have many entities participating. You have internal teams, sellers, marketing teams, PAMs, CAMs, alliances, partners, influencers. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of unstructured data, and there's a lot of structured data, and this data is constantly changing. So how do you account for this enormous amount of data and have an insight, what is working, what is not working, and how it impacts your business? And that's where the automation comes in. So automation, as Richard and Ken pointed out, it definitely is designed to really automate all the menial tasks across the board. That helps you bring speed, scalability, insight, and recommendation. What is working and what is not working? And you can look at this stuff and you can categorize this into 4 or 5 major buckets. So you can think about anything that relates to process automation, a workflow automation. That could be around programs, tiering, partner tiering, onboarding, training, and that could be all the workflows related to deal reg, MDF, any of that stuff. That is the one category where you can automate things. The second bucket is all about marketing and sales. That is co-branding of content, personalization, recommendation of content to partners, communication, driving partner engagement, notifications. This all could be automated. And then is the third category is about data, insight, where the CAMs can use that data insight and see which partners they need to target and whom not to target. So that insight is the key. And then last category, which we're kind of all in now for the last 7 months, is all about AI and generative AI. And that is really utilized on sales and marketing side, on partner profiling, sales prospecting, writing email, blog, content. So that is on the generative side. So that's the 4 major buckets we feel the automation is needed, where you can automate a lot of your menial tasks.
Yeah.
And Richard, you're asked by a lot of your customers to help them do this. Where do you start? Because this can be a mammoth task. What are some of the key starting points that you're seeing that most of your customers are engaged in?
You know, it's funny because, you know, I like to think of process automation is part of process optimization. So process optimization is where you look at your processes and you say, how can we improve them? And sometimes the answer is through automation. And I think that what you want to do is you want to look at what are your big strategic initiatives. If you've been told that we're in a growth path, we need to add, you know, 50% more partners over the next year, look at something like partner recruitment and say, well, how can I automate processes around there? And you can automate the onboarding process in many cases, letting people know what training they should be taking at this point in time, and then, you know, tracking and making sure that they're able to do that. You can make sure that you've got some form of predictive analytics behind it, saying this person's falling behind the curve, you know, or we're seeing that this type of partner is perhaps being more productive than this other type of partner. Shift your efforts in that area. And creating a consistent and a predictable process for your partners, which ultimately makes you easier to do business with. It simplifies things and makes people more happy. And so by aligning and looking at the areas that are really the big drivers for you, and then saying, well, what can I do to really improve in those areas? The partner experience, the internal effectiveness, you know, those types of things are really where you'll get a punch list of what are the first things to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe
Excellent.
let me just add one thing. I would say, assuming you have a PRM. So maybe the very first thing that you want to do is make sure that you've got a PRM, because that lets you then collect all of these processes and information in one place. So that might be step 0, and then what I talked about be step, you know, 1 and 1+.
I'm picking up on a question in the chat, and trying to summarize that. How do you decide, you know, what you're going to share with your partners, and what's most important for them to see when they come into your portal, your platform?
Yeah, really good question. And it's something that's kind of become a trend, I would say, in the last couple of years. We call them partner performance dashboards, Rod. And this is really where automation does kick in. And it automates, I suppose, bringing the front end closer to the back end, for example. Now, kind of it does depend. There's a lot of, you know, what do you do first? Richard touched on it there a little bit as well, is it depends on the vendor, it depends on the size, it depends on their channel, and it depends on their product. They're kind of some of the key points. But when you start any of those automation projects, I always say to our customers, look, before we jump in and automate anything, we need to sit down. We would often even assign a business analyst to those projects and say, look, really work on what is it that you're trying to achieve. And I know it sounds a bit fundamental, but if you don't do that right, nothing is going to be right after that. They'll be disappointed in what they get. So spending that week or two at the start, really drilling down into the business needs. So we'll take the partner performance dashboard, as I just mentioned it, and we said to them, you know, what are the KPIs that you want to show at your front window to the partners? Is that revenue? Is it bookings? Is it training? Is it pipeline? Is it incentives? If it's a cloud-based, it might be activations. You know, how many licenses have you transitioned from on-premise to cloud? How many of those are activated? What does my renewals look like? Have I services attached? There's so many different things depending on the company and the offer. But by taking the data from the back end and presenting that in a visually rich way, it's transformative. You know, we've done this now with a number of companies, and they're all, you know, winning partner mindshare or creating competitive advantage in the channel, however you want to say it. So when the partner lands on the portal, you give them a very nice picture of, here's what my sales achievement, revenue, bookings looks like. how am I doing on my incentives? What's my potential to earn more incentives? Because partners want to see that, and they know that if they route the deal to you versus your competitor, and remember, partners are smart, distributors are smart, they will look around, where am I going to spend my 50K to get the best, not just the discount, but what do I get as a kicker on the back end? And then you as a vendor, in terms of renewals, you always want to be showing the partners what's up for renewal, because partners aren't brilliant at keeping a good database of record for their own install base. So if the responsibility falls back to the vendor to show that to the partner, because that's, for want of a better way of saying it, that's easy money. That is not something you should be leaving behind, not to mention the fact it erodes your footprint in the channel if you do leave it behind. So having that kind of an approach, and again, to my earlier point, it's not just the partner facing piece. You show that partner performance dashboard internally to the account managers as well. And then kind of other vendors have taken that now to the next level. Not alone do they show them how they're doing, they'll also set them targets. So it's almost like a live business planning tool. Done away with the traditional business planning, the Excels, the what have we agreed online, whatever it is. They now have a trend graph that here's your revenue and here's how you're doing against your target. And there's never any argument, because it's two sides of the same coin. The partner has their view, you have the exact same view, albeit internally. So if they're, $1 million over what they're supposed to be, brilliant. But if they're $1 million under, it's a red flag to everybody, both you and the partner. And there's never any ambiguity. This is what we agreed or didn't agree, which often can be a contentious thing in those quarterly business reviews, especially with the larger partners. So a lot there, Rod. But that's kind of some of the ways automation are starting to take the engagement and bring that human touch, or bring the right human touch to the table when it comes to partner engagement.
And if I could add something, because Kenneth made a statement that just triggered something positively in my head. What I would say is one of the fundamental tips around this is go hunt down where your business is being run on Excel. Yep. Wherever your business is being run on Excel, that's an indicator that a group is using isolated data that isn't being shared with others, and they have a fundamental need that's not being used by your systems to run and manage their business. And that's one of the easiest ways of, if you just go through to a staff meeting and you say, where are we using Excel to run the business? You'll get very quickly a list of areas that are probably key and easy to improve through automation.
Yeah.
Okay. No, and Harbinder, if I could just bring you in for a second, because the other side of this is, if we automate properly, if we have all this data, what should a CAM dashboard contain? I'm going into a meeting with a channel partner. I need as much information as possible, so I make that meeting as productive as possible. What should I be providing to that CAM?
I'm going to answer that question. It's a good question. So I want to add what the question you asked before. The foundation from an automation perspective, the most important thing, what we believe, is making sure when you start and you look at automation across the ecosystem, knowing what entities are participating in the ecosystem, number one. Number two, partner attributes. Profiling is the most important data set that you would need to automate to create a hyper-personalized experience within a platform. Finding what the source of truth is it Excel or a Salesforce, a CRM, or this data exists in third party in a structured and unstructured format? And what element of this data about the partner is changing? Because that tells you everything about them, who they are, what they do, what they sell, what products they sell, what they have sold before, and what they're going to do next. And that really drives every piece of automation in most of the platforms. How the onboarding journey is going to look like. So capturing the right data set and keeping that data set up to date is the key to success. Now, the question you asked, basically the CAMs, and that's one of the, I would say, neglected category of folks that people really don't spend time on. If you think about traditional PRMs and we talk about partner enablement, is the CAM enablement is equally important to drive success. And coming back to your question, having CAMs the visibility the first level of visibility, the CAM's got to see in the territory which partner is actually engaged with the brand. Now, this level of engagement is made of many different attributes. Not just the revenue is actually we look at external engagement of the partner with the brand and internal engagement. Are they attending your webinars? Are they coming to your website? Are they logging in? Are they selling your products? What products? The frequency and recency. Driving and building a scoring metrics and providing in a very easy to understand format to a CAM, they can see out of thousands or hundreds of partners they manage, which partner is engaged and which partner is not engaged. Because that is actually a leading attribute. Before you start seeing the revenue numbers, you can look at the engagement attributes to tell you which partner is engaged. So CAMs got to see that. And they got to be proactively seeing this information. And this is where the AI comes into play, where there's recommendation that which partners they should be spending their energy. The second aspect from a CAM perspective, having the ability, having us playbooks, how to drive the engagement, how to sell to this partner, how to create, touch points and what to sell and upsell. And then the third element is the QBR, the business planning, joint business planning. That area is also changed a lot. It's no longer static Excel-based business planning in the QBRs. That is also dynamic data-driven QBRs that is happening. So you need a lot of tools and insight and enable CAMs to do their job better. So that's how we see it.
Excellent. And Ken, if I can bring you into this, you've got a lot of customers coming to you looking for this. There's two approaches. You can boil the ocean, or you can start sensibly and build from there. If you're looking to provide a really excellent system for a client's channel account manager, where do you start? What are the sorts of things that people are doing to start with to begin to make this happen?
Yeah, well, the first thing is, I would always say, or always follow the approach crawl, walk, run, right? Rather than trying to boil the ocean, because you can deliver value pretty quickly. Generally speaking, nobody is fully sure of ever what they want until they see it. And that way you don't invest too much time or money, and you show them something, you deliver it, the partners or the internal people start using it, and you iterate to get where they want to go. And that generally seems to be a more successful model. But so it comes back to, Rod, when you have the discussion with them, it's okay, what is it again, what are your business goals, or what are those KPIs? Kind of work out on those. Now, one thing I didn't mention this earlier, but kind of as Richard spoke, it triggered it in my head, was one of the things we always say to them is validate those business goals, or with your, what you say are your business goals. Can you please validate those with your company's goals? And then secondarily, validate them with your channel team's goals to make sure you have alignment, because often we see you do something like this, a project, and somebody very senior will come along and say, well, that's not what we really wanted, or that isn't meaningful to our business. So especially in larger companies, the business goals often get lost as they filter down through the organization. So that's kind of a checkpoint we've always inserted now in projects to do that level of validation. Not that we can necessarily do it, but you can ask the channel team to do it. So then it comes back to, what are the pieces that they want to serve up to the account managers? And generally speaking, it's not rocket science. It's the usual KPIs. It's the revenue. It's the training. It's the pipeline. It's the renewal rate. Things like that are generally what it takes to drive the business. As you move into SaaS and the world of the cloud, then adoption rates are really important. So we have to build out things like what we call activations dashboards. So you might have a tile. What does my activations look like? I sold 300 users or 300 seats in the cloud. Different people call them different things, but I'm serving up now a slightly different audience. My customer success managers now kick in either in the channel org or outside the channel org, depending on the company and where they put that function. So it's a very different role than the renewals team was traditionally. And these guys are saying, okay, are my customers adopting? But I'm helping my partners to help my customers adopt, or at a minimum, making them aware that the end customer that bought the 300 seats after 3 months has only activated 100. And if it goes on like that, then you're into not such a good scenario that you have a downsell instead of an upsell opportunity. So giving them the data or the insights to know how can I drive that partner to drive that customer to make sure they've consumed what they bought, and indeed get them into an upsell or a cross-sell situation as well. So I don't know, Rod, they're just some examples.
Okay, excellent. And Richard, if I can bring you in,
Yep.
part of it is about making the partner feel important. You touched on portals earlier. How do you personalize? What are the things you're seeing people doing to personalize that portal for the partner? So the partner goes, wow, this vendor actually knows something about me. They recognize who I am. I'm getting the information I need, rather than I'm being treated as one of 1,000 partners and we're all the same, which we're not.
Yeah, I think, it's a little bit like Facebook. If you think about it, you get to tell what is of interest to you, what isn't of interest to you. It can personalize and serve up, content and information that's useful to you. But I might drift from your question for just a moment, Rod, in that I think that, because the second half of what was the topic today was how do you maintain and build on that human touch, with automation. And I think that's the real strength of the portal. It does personalize the content, but putting everybody on the same page. When you think about it, if I'm having a problem with my partner rep as a partner, it may be because I don't like them, or I feel like they don't care about my business. But it's quite often when I ask, well, what are you showing as my channel sales? They say, I don't have the answer to that. Or, I just talked to somebody over here and you have no clue that I went to go talk to them. That's a really crappy experience for me. I don't want to repeat myself. All of those types of things. And that's what the portals done well help you with, is not only do they make that information more visible to you, have it customized to you, but it also puts everybody on the same page so they can see what's going on, and they can and you can talk from a mutual place of understanding. And if there is a delta, hey, we show our sales are 5 million, you're showing it's only 2 million. Well, now you got a place where everybody can focus and take action to see where the disparity is. And so I think that the strength of the portal is really that it's the one source of truth that is then customized to your experience.
And Ken, what are you seeing people customizing on the portal? What do partners, if you're going to do 3 or 4 things, what would they be? What do partners really value?
Yeah, I think they value, it's very much moved to a persona-driven experience. So depending on the partner, when they log on to the portal, they only see what's relevant to them versus trying to show everybody everything, which kind of is, frustrating for the partners. It's kind of the case of I can't see the wood from the trees. So if I'm a gold partner in Ireland versus I'm a silver partner in California, I should see and be able to do different things. So kind of starting there to make it persona driven. And then in terms of what they're showing them, keep it very visually that they can easily understand what they're seeing. So if there's a key marketing message, if it's a thing that they're about to lose a cert, depending on what programs they have access to, just to show them a summary. So it's kind of the way we do it is we start off, everything is just done at a summary level. And then if they want to drill down, they can drill down, and it's almost activity driven. So if I'm that gold partner in Ireland, I log in and I can see what MDF did I have, what are my open claims, what's already been paid. So literally in a widget, you just show them that. The same goes for rebates, the same might go for their deal reg or pipeline, etc. So that one page or single pane of glass, they see everything they need to see what's relevant to them as a person, at a partner. And it's not just at the partner level. Different users in the partner get to see and do different things. So you're making it very personal for them. Simple things like, welcome Rod, your account manager is XYZ, we're running a webinar next week, whatever it is, you're getting your message out there. And that, partners appreciate that. it makes their life a lot easier, and they're more willing to come back.
And I've got a portal. I think I've got it personalized, but I'm still getting a lot of complaints from my partners. What's the best way of getting really good partner feedback, so you can deliver what the partners are actually looking for?
So the couple of things. I'm going to add what Ken said about the designing a partner portal. We at Mind Matrix, we call 10-second rule. So partner should be able to log in, and this one is all persona based driven. So multiple personas at the partner level. Could be a partner admin, I'm a sales guy, I'm a marketing person, I'm the technical person, depending upon who they are, providing the right relevant content and tools. So making sure that they have access to all of that. So in 10 seconds, they should be able to see the actions they need to perform, and the content that is relevant to them, and the stats and information that's relevant to them as a person. And also, if depending upon who you are, the relevant to that organization. So within 10 seconds, you should be able to see that. And so that is really the 10-second rule we follow. So coming back to the question you asked about the feedback. So partner feedback is the most important feedback that you need to build and evolve your partner program. And so how do you do that? So, and there are a couple of different ways. And obviously, a feedback loop, closed feedback loop within the partner portal. So we're asking them constantly, what do you think about our program? What do you think about our content? And also at the individual content level, having them give you feedback, how they rate on different tools and content that you have provided to them. So in our system, so we provide the feedback loop system across, even at the content level, at the training level, so they can say, we like this training, we didn't like this training. And system is intelligent enough to learn what is working, what is not working. And then also with partners providing the feedback that, hey, this partner program from a strategy perspective or as a incentive perspective, is that working or not? The commission structure is working or not? So taking that feedback and then providing that insight back to the CAMs and also the folks who are managing the partner program tiers. So they have a real-time feedback available to them, and also having the ability to send the surveys out to the partners and learning from them exactly how they want it. And then based on their information, then you're tweaking the program internally.
Excellent. And Richard, I want to do this. We're in a downturn. We've just laid off X% of the staff. I've got to go to the CFO and get them to actually approve it. What are the key arguments I'm going to make? What's the data? What's the background I need to be providing to get that approval?
Yeah. So especially in today's environment, two arguments. I'm either going to be able to do something and it's going to cost us a lot less to do it, or I'm going to be able to do something with greater effect with the resources that I already have. And so I think that what you need to do is you need to say, hey, look, you told me that, and I've complied. I've seen a 10 or 15 or heaven forbid a 20% layoff on staff. You're asking for me to still do the same thing. The only way I can do that and maintain that level of experience is through automation. Or we're driving our people to do a 15% goal, and at the same time we're asking for them to do more things, having more efficiency behind it, making their experience and being able to do that is important. This helps us do that. And what we're seeing is that this is actually the area that people are still investing in. Building new content, that's a little discretionary. Going out there and recruiting that one more partner, that might be a little bit more discretionary. But this fundamentally changes your operational footprint and cost and effectiveness. And this is where the CROs and the chief financial officers are fundamentally looking at how can we do more with less.
And Ken, bringing you into that question, how do you actually measure this? What measurements do you put into the system to see what you're gaining, to see that you haven't lost that all-important human touch with the partners?
Yeah, I'm at an event in Boston today, Rod, and there was a speaker. She's runs a channel for a very large company, VP of channel, and they've been going through a difficult time in the last maybe 6 or 9 months. But she said it's just interesting for this conversation. She said they have a lot of automation. They invested heavily in the last 2 years in automation. And because they did, she said she lost 2/3 of her channel team or channel operations. They went from something like 36 to 12, something along those lines, she said. But they still grew their channel business by double digits in the last quarter. Now, she said, it would have been impossible to do that. They would have literally fallen apart if they hadn't invested in automation of their programs, of their partner ecosystem, etc. So I think that was really a powerful point she made. She told the whole story. She spent an hour on stage, but it was a really interesting kind of takeaway for me to validate what we're speaking about, what we do as a company, and indeed what the webinar is about today. So just coming back to your question then, Rod, around how do you measure or the ROI? I suppose there's in terms of the ROI, I suppose there's a whole list of things. I know the first one, I suppose, is scalability. If you don't automate, you're not going to have the ability to scale either internally or externally, which ultimately impacts revenue. So, as any channel organization, you will have a revenue number on your back, which every year is always more. And without having automation, you simply can't add more partners, you can't take more deals, etc. You still need the human touch in there, but again, it's how do you optimize putting the human touch in the right place. Efficiency is another big one in terms of ROI. As a vendor scales up through the channel, again, without the automation piece, how do they manage the increase in transactional volumes as the revenue grows? You got to train more partners, but you're not allowed to hire more account managers. You have to, as somebody said at the very start, do more with less. And I think then in terms of how, the ease of doing business, it's a bit hard to measure or quantify, but it's still such an important aspect. In our world, we deal with it every day. It's literally always part of the conversation within the first 5 minutes when you're chatting to partners. Such a vendor is easier to work with, and we don't really care that much about price. They do care about price, of course they do, but it's not always the top consideration because time is money. So being easy to work with as a vendor is I always say this, is absolutely critical. And with automation, you really can create competitive advantage, win partner mindshare, and get that, ultimately win that partner's in business. And probably an important one is around profitability. So one place we've seen, and this was not necessarily about design, it was kind of something that we noticed as we done some of these projects. The automation of end-to-end, everything from a deal reg to a quote, when you automate it and you serve it up to your partner community, because there's not a human touch, sometimes partners getting a quote, they don't always ask for a discount. In fact, more often than not, we've noticed they don't ask for discounts, whereas before the automation went in, they were dealing with a person. So sometimes it's not the worst idea in the world to take out that human interaction, because again, people buy from people, but they'll also negotiate with people. So if a partner is trying to get a quote quickly, they come in, they do what we call channel self-service, they get a quote. So we've noticed there's better margins. So those discounts not being asked for in every single deal improves your margin, which ultimately improves your profitability. So taking out that margin erosion, I suppose, is a really massive things in terms of ROI or the company's profitability. Okay, I know there's a lot there, Rod. Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. So Harbinder, I'm looking at automation. I'm looking at maintaining the human touch. What are the 2 or 3 key things I need to be thinking about, and make them as practical as possible so we can send everyone away with things they can start doing very quickly where they are?
One of the important things, we haven't spent time on human touch. One of the key points I want to make today is, and I agree with Ken and Richard, I want that any operational related function, marketing, sales, and operations today, the technology exists to automate everything from tiering to you name it, workflows. You can literally automate any business function today, as long as you have the right partner attributes defined. You can attribute and you can automate anything. So what I want the audience to walk away from this webinar, the automation in coming years or coming times is going to be must, or it's going to be required to scale your business. It's going to become a commodity. It's going to become commodity that everybody's going to be using and automating things because you cannot get around it. That's number one. Human touch will be your next key differentiator. I want everybody to walk away from. I want to flip the coin. We talked about automation. That is how you help grow your business. My point of view is human touch becomes the next key differentiator in your business. That is something we cannot lose sight of. And really, why human touch? Because, for the last 25 years, I spent all my time in automating and building technologies. But one thing it cannot take away is the empathy, is the empathetic problem solving. And that's really what I tell my teams, that we really need to build, as we are automating things, the human-to-human touch is here to stay. The empathy, the problem solving, the maturity, the domain knowledge, understanding customers and partners' emotions. That is the key, and that will be the key differentiator going forward. So never lose sight of that. In years to come, you're going to go back and think, yes, maybe we lost it, we should not have. And that is one of the things that key takeaways from webinar today.
Excellent. And Ken, what would you like people to take away from the webinar? And what are some practical things that they could start thinking about tomorrow?
Yeah, I think, to kind of echo what Harbinder said a little bit there, like that the automation is really critical, and automation to point human touch in the right way or in the most efficient place is really what automation can bring to the table to stop all of that kind of grunt work, for a better way of saying it, on the spreadsheets, etc. But it also enables you to share that full visibility out into your channel and ultimately let you, scale up and take those extra revenue opportunities that you couldn't take without it.
Excellent. And Richard, bring you in. Last word.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to use my experience with Amazon, not AWS, but Amazon as a retailer as an example. I love the convenience of Amazon. The fact that I don't have to travel, I can get it delivered to my front doorstep. It's got whatever it is that I'm looking for. All of those things are definitely way in the plus column, but I hate Amazon if I have an issue. I can't find anybody to click through to. I can't talk to anybody on the phone. I can't do any of that type of thing. And you want to make sure that your automation is helping you do the routine and the mundane, but not interfering with the human touch and the points of contact. So don't only have a chat bot on your portal. Make sure that there's an escalation path, that I can talk to somebody if I need to, and then make sure that automation is feeding that person with enough information that they can quickly add value and resolve the issue. And so when you use this to really free your people to focus on the important things and empower them around those important things so that they can do it better and deliver more value, that's when you've got to win through automation.
Richard, thank you very much. Richard, Ken, Harbinder, thank you for some terrific insights. I think everyone's learned a great deal from the webinar this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you happen to be. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks very much.
Okay, Gentry, if you can close us out. Thank you very much, guys.
All
Yep.
right. Thanks, guys. Have
Bye-bye.
a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you.